Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. For the last couple weeks, we've been trying to follow tournaments and we've been looking at modern AI games. Today I decided to try something different. Let's talk about a game that happened in 1970s, so just to change a little bit of taste. Today's game is between Go Seigen and Takeo Kajiwara. This was played in 1970. Go Seigen is playing as white and Kajiwara is playing as black. I don't know the player Kajiwara super well. Of course, he's a very strong professional, and this was played in Japan a long time ago. The game starts out like this. White approaches the corner, and black also approaches the corner. Of course, these moves are pretty much extinct these days, right? There's no way you can leave an empty corner like this. But the Go back then was just a lot freer. White attaches. Black now plays the Keima, try to pressure the top left. And now white comes back and take the start point. Black approaches, and white now jumps. And here black plays the 3-space extension. White now attaches, black honey, and white plays the cut. Here black decides to extend back. That's the textbook move. Another way to play, when you have the ladder, is to atari and then extend. This is a simpler way of playing if this ladder works for you. Now we're creating a miai. We're trying to push through, and we're trying to ladder. If white prevents the push through, then we can ladder. But of course, in this game, we can see the ladder doesn't really work for black. So this variation doesn't work for black at all. So in that case, black has to extend back. White atari, black extends, and here there are two main variations. The first one is for white to block on the outside and sacrifice the corner. Black atari, white connects, black atari, white extends, and black atari, white takes, and black turns in the corner. This move is very necessary to protect the corner territory. If you don't play here, then white is going to clamp and there's too much aji in the corner and black cannot tolerate that. So black has to turn, and now white finally comes back to pull the stone at the 3-4 and hurting the stone over here. The result of this is more or less an equal position. Black has a very giant corner and white has a very beautiful site. White decided to choose the other main variation, that's the block inside and protect the corner. Black turns and white extends. And here black attaches at the 3-3. Black can also directly fight this out. This will be a very fierce variation and it's very interesting. White extends and black keeps crawling. And then nothing to talk about. They just keep extending and crawling. And at this point, black attaches at the 3-3 to try to kill the corner. White honey, black extends, and white pushes at the 2-2. Black bumps into white, white connects, that's the best way to extend the liberties, and here black crawls once again. White has to block that, and now black honey at the 1-2 to kill the corner. White plays the tiger's mouth, and black extends down. Here white has two options. One is to just live, right? And then letting black live as well. Probably black is going to clamp first, before making a life. So the result of this is that both groups are going to live, and it's just more or less an equal position. White can also choose to kill, and that would get very exciting, because now black blocks, white peeps at the vital point, black clamps, white connects, black takes, and here white clamps again. Here it's very important for black to keep clamping and extend the liberties. If white atari, that would not work very well for white because black can atari. When white takes, we can see black has just some ko threats ready right here. So white cannot win this ko. The best option is for white to just pull back. Black connects on the first line and white now connects. And here black pushes. White has to make the eye and black honey at the first line. And the result of this is that black likely is going to kill white's corner, but at a very heavy cost. As we can see, white has a giant wall facing the bottom, right? So now white can simply tenuki and just play a move on the side, probably like this. And we can see that black has a huge problem to deal with here. Now, in terms of a liberty fight, if white keeps going, then black throws in and then connect. White atari, black squeeze the liberty, nothing to talk about. They're just trying to squeeze each other. Black takes back, white atari, and black connects. We can see that theoretically, black can kill white, in a clean fashion, right? Because black has one more liberty. But of course, in the process, there's a lot of problems. right? Because somewhere in the process, maybe white can cut first. And there's a lot of aji, right? When you Atari, then I can throw in. So there's a lot of nasty stuff that white can do to make this capture very uncomfortable for black. So this position actually is not that great for black. That is why in the actual game, Kajiwara did not choose this variation because it's quite risky. In the actual game, black attaches, white honey, and black now comes back and honey here. So black did not did not want to fight this out right away because he didn't see a good result. Therefore, his idea is to exchange a few moves first or start a skirmish here first to see what happens in the corner, right? Depending on what happens on top right corner, then black can decide what to do over here. That's a very advanced tactic, right? If temporarily things don't work for you, you don't have to make them work right away. You can try to start something somewhere else. White now cuts, black extends, and white blocks. Here, black uses the Tessuji, also a textbook move back then, to clamp at the 2-2. White turns, black blocks, and white Atari. Here, black extends, making sure white cannot live. White extends, and black jumps at the second line. White extends, and black also jumps out. So the idea of this joseki is basically for white to resist in the corner and try to attack both sides. Here, white plays the attach. Black honey, white cuts, and here black says, okay, let's go for the transfer. So black Atari, black takes, and white connects. We can see that white saved the corner and black got the Panuki, and now he can drag the stone out thanks to this Panuki. Everything changed because you have a strong Panuki to support the fight. Crawling here is an obvious move, but Kajiwara actually forgot a very important exchange. So before black crawls, it's very important for black to get this bamboo first. This is a sente. So if white defends, then we can crawl. Now let's see the difference. In the actual game, black did not exchange this move. Then Go Seigen just captured the stone. Now when black cuts over here, white's definitely not going to play this move. This just doesn't look good. The white will definitely capture at the 3-3. And we can see this exchange is terrible. So black can never get this exchange anymore. And that's a problem. In the actual game, black blocks, and white now extends. Here, it's probably better for Go Seigen to just extend on the second line and capture the corner, and let white play the hane. Because what is the big deal, right? If black gets the hane, it is over concentration. Even if black managed to pretty much capture the 3 stones, white can just play somewhere else, and this would be a very comfortable game for white. But of course, back, when it was 1970, Go Seigen was still young and he is a fighter. So he extends out and looking for a fight. Black curls and white extends. And at this point, black extends on the second line, trying to threaten the corner. White pushes first, black blocks, and here white plays the tiger's mouth. Now, the tiger's mouth is a must-play move before white can actually attack black because white's formation is too weak. Black now plays the eye-making move, trying to survive on top. White caps black inside, and black Atari, and then extend on the first line, making sure that he has 2 eyes. White now has to make sure that the top left corner is alive. So, white blocks. Of course, at this point, black cannot cut, because then we can just cut here, we can just Atari here, and the corner is alive. So black has to resist by turning at the 2-2. And at this point, white's only move is the hane on the first line. If white connects, black cuts, that is just a disaster for white, right? Everything just died. If white connects at the start point, black will capture in the corner. Black's corner is very strong, and there's a wedge, and white doesn't have a lot of liberties. And that's also a very big disaster. White plays the hane. That's a must-play move. Black Atari, and of course white here has to play something special. In the actual game, white plays the flip Atari from behind. Very well played by white. Black takes, white Atari, and this becomes a ko. Black takes, and here Go Seigen decides to use the attach as a ko-threat. Maybe a better ko-threat here for Go Seigen is to play this pincer. And I'm pretty sure a lot of my viewers also would like to play this move. And this is actually the correct move to play. Go Seigen decided to play a softer ko-threat, attaching here. This doesn't hurt black as much. So Kajiwara was very happy, and he just cuts over here and get rid of the ko. This is a very well played move because it's not only getting rid of the ko, but also it strengthens the outside a lot, right? So a lot of us would just be happy and take over here, right? But obviously the start point is more efficient because it's a stone on the fourth line, while your move over here is just a stone on the first line, which doesn't do much. So black's move over here is very nice. If white takes back, we'll just capture the stone, and there's no problem. Okay, so Go Seigen has to get some compensation back by attacking the bottom right. Black Hane and white now cuts. Black extends and white Atari. Black extends and here white connects. Another fight breaks out. Black turns and white extends. And here black decides to push on top, trying to squeeze white's liberty here. White turns. This move pretty much kills the 3 stones, but it's not a big deal, right, for black if he loses these three stones because black still has 3 liberties remaining and there's a lot of aji. In the actual game, black extends. A more accurate move for black to play is to Hane, because this is just more efficient and it squeezes white's liberty, forcing white to go back and capture the corner, capture the site. So if white turns, then we can simply extend. And here white cannot Tanuki. If white Tanuki, we can turn, and we see that this is going to be black kills white. So white has to block over here, and we can see later on this Atari is still a Sente. So even if white captured the 3 stones, it's not a big deal. Black can now come back and play the 2 space extension. And the result of this is that this is still more or less an equal position. Black extension over here is inaccurate because it's not, right? It's giving white 4 liberties, and that's a problem. So here Go Seigen has the time to breathe, come back and trying to pressure this group over here. Black jumps, and now white pushes on top, preventing the Atari. Black Hane, white Hane, and black decides to cut. We can see Kajiwara is also a very fierce fighter. Now another way of playing is for black to simply attach and trying to squeeze white's liberty. When white blocks, then we can connect, and when you Atari, then I can Hane on top and then double Hane, right? This is a way for black to play that's very, very solid. Now, black being very solid here has a lot of value, right? Because your group over here is under a lot of pressure. So the fact you have support, even if they're far away, eventually when you run towards this direction, this support will definitely help. That's why it's very valuable for black to play very thick here. In the actual game, black Hane and then just cut. White connects and black extends. And here white extends. Black plays the Kosumi and white now comes back and capture the 3 stones. Now, this is a gote, and this looks weird because white didn't have to play this move. The reason white plays this move is actually very cool because when white plays this move, it makes sure that black only has 2 liberties, which means that white's counter attack here now works. So black has to worry about the elephant eye, right? So if you don't play this move, then black can attach you anytime and make a very solid shape. White blocks. And of course, since you got this point, then I'm going to push here and pressure your 2 stones. White extends, and black now jumps from the left side. Here, a more accurate move for Kajiwara is actually to push over here. White extends, and we just push from behind. Now, it looks a little weird because white extends a bunch of time and just killing our Moyo completely. But the reason black kind of has to sacrifice the Moyo is because this group is just too weak and it needs to be taken care of. Because you can't really sacrifice these guys, it's a lot of points. So it's better to build a wall, sacrificing some Moyo, and making sure your group is secure. When your group here is stronger, then you can aim at counter-attacking white over here. So the thickness in the center right now matters a lot more than the territory. Black jumps on the left side, trying to enclose the entire left side. Obviously, Go Seigen is not going to allow that to happen. So Go Seigen comes into black's territory, and then they start another skirmish. Black trying to cap white inside. White plays a Kosumi. Black also plays Kosumi. White tries to pierce through, and black pierces through white as well. White turns, and black turns, and here white cuts. Black has to, keep turning, and at this point, white extends at the 3-3, securing the kill. Black Honey on the outside, really trying just to build over here. This move not only builds, but also it's putting pressure on this entire group. White plays the Kosumi. That's a very well played move. Instead of answering here, Go Seigen takes the initiative first, play the Kosumi. We can see with this Kosumi, it aims at coming into your Moyo. This Kosumi is also putting a lot of pressure on black stones over here. But more importantly, this group is also now feeling some chill. Black plays the Keima. White attaches. Black Honey, White extends. And here Black connects. White turns in the center. Black Honey, and White keeps Honey. So at this point, Kajiwara knows that the situation is very dire. He needs to play very aggressive. If he just plays the standard move, then White will keep pushing from behind. And this puts no pressure on White. So first of all, Black has to deal with this. Well, Black eventually has to deal with this weak group. First of all, Black needs to answer the question, how does he make himself alive here? Right? So maybe Black can make himself alive, but at a huge cost. If White gets really thick, then White is going to attack this group. Then you have to struggle to make this group alive. Once you make this group alive in a miserable way, White get really strong and then come into your Moyo, and then you won't have enough territory to compete in this game. So Kajiwara pretty much sees that whole story coming, so he decides to fight now. He plays the double Honey. Go Seigen accepts the fighting, so he cuts, Black connects, White extends, and Black Atari. Very fierce fighting variation. White extends out, Black pushes from behind. And at this point, since temporarily Black cannot capture the two stones, White decides to come back and answer the Hane. Black now jumps towards the center, and White extends, making sure his shape is okay. And at this point, Black plays the double Hane. White Atari, Black connects, White Atari, and Black extends. Looks like the center group is in trouble. But here, Go Seigen push through, and then we can see that the calculation here is very interesting. If Black blocks, then White's going to cut. It looks like it doesn't work for White, right? Because White got just murdered here. It's like the 4 stones are dead. How can that be okay? But then White can double Atari over here. And that's the fun part about Go. It's like a lot of times you think it's over, but it's really not. White Atari, and here Black has to play the Tessuji of the flip Atari because it's a snapback, right? So a lot of my viewers might just capture here without thinking in a blitz game. And that's really not something you should do. Because here you can do better. Not only capture White, but also play an Atari. White captures, and here Black pierces through. We can see that, yes, White center got destroyed, but what about Black over here, right? The next move, White plays Kosumi. White has this whole chunk of territory. And good luck in closing this whole thing. White has a very thick nuclear center over here. So it's not very easy for Black to enclose the left side. The result of this is obviously it's a leading game for White that Kajiwara cannot accept. So Kajiwara plays very smart. He switched the order and plays the wedge first. Now if White tries to kill, then Black managed to secure the entire, Black managed to seal the entire line, and we can see this is all territory, right? So obviously White cannot accept that now. So in the actual game, Go Seigen pushes through at the Tengen. Black Atari, White connects, and now Black cuts, using this cut to fix the cutting point. Very well played. White captures the stone, and here Kajiwara decides to, he needs to maneuver this group, or else this whole thing is going to die. So he plays the peep over here, and then Go Seigen plays the Hane, and this is really painful for Black. Black's shape move is obviously to block over here, but then White can just cut, which means that the center group is just out of trouble, right? So Kajiwara really could not allow White to be out of trouble. This is a main target of attack. Black cuts, but then Black has to suffer such a horrible Atari, right? Whenever a professional player has to play a shape like this, it really hurts feelings. All right, so Go Seigen has one eye, so he just needs to attach here and try to live. Black bumps into White, and White now connects in the center. Black turns, because otherwise White is gonna, escape the stone over here. White now plays the wedge, Black Atari, and White now extends towards Black's Moyo. Now because Black somehow managed to got 2 stones here, Black needs to punish White's corner. Black pushes out, White Hane, and Black plays the triangle. Tactically, there's no way for White to capture the 3 stones. So temporarily, Go Seigen decides to not play locally. Rather, he is going to threaten the life and death of this big dragon. Black pushes, White blocks, and black now plays the Atari. So here black cannot cut. If black cuts over here, then white is going to push. Now you have a very serious problem. So now you have to play the triangle. And the next move is very important, right? If you don't know the next move and just push here, this is going to allow black to play the tiger's mouth. Our move is to play the peep. With this peep, black is collapsing. If black connects, then we also connect. And obviously this is like pretty much this is just kill, right? This is very, very difficult for black. But if black tries to cut through, then white can also cut through. And we can see that the center 5 stones definitely dead, right? And after the center 5 stones dead, you can definitely live this group. But then when I played Kosumi here, you can also say goodbye to this group. So that's definitely not acceptable. Black plays the shape move, capturing the stone. It's very important. White now pushes on top, black pushes, and white now jumps. This is a very severe move against black's group. Black pushes, white pushes through, black Atari, white connects, and here black has no choice but to come back and capture the stone. White cuts, black connects, and we can see black live with a bend 4, but the corner is all destroyed. Of course, there's still some achi remaining in the corner for black, but temporarily this is a huge victory for white. White now comes back to deal with the dragon. Black bumps into white, white extends, black honey, white honey, and black plays the tiger's mouth. This is a sente, white has to connect. And at this point, there's a very big miai going on, right? Black can either give up on this group or like give up on killing the group over here. So black can only get one corner, right? Both corners are very huge right now, and black can only choose one. In the actual game, black push, white blocks, and black connects. And here, white connects. Black has to make use of the cut to live. So white Atari, black extends, and white connects. And here, black plays the Keima. Go Seigen chose a very simple variation. Simply attach, and then clamp, making sure at least these 5 guys are dead. Black Atari, and then white simply connects, right? You don't really want to extend because that would lead to complication because black has the potential to make a ko with you. And this is very hard for white to deal with. Go Seigen plays very simple, connecting here. He knows he's ahead, so he connects over here, and black captures the corner, getting a lot of points, and also later on there's a possibility to connect the 2 stones back. But of course, the left corner is going to be a problem, so now white is going to struggle here. Black extends, and white peeps. Black cuts in the corner, and here Go Seigen plays a beautiful Tessuji, that is to Atari on the first line. If you Atari like this, there's always the worry that black can extend, Atari, and then throw in. So white prevents all that by Atari on the first line. If black extends, then white is going to cut. That's a sente. Black has to answer. White Atari, black takes, and white now hops out. Black is able to capture part of the corner, but then the side is just gone, right? White is very comfortable on the side. So at this point, when white plays the Atari, black connects, and white captures the corner. And at this point, of course, the corner is just perfectly fine. And black decides to try to live the site, right? If black can manage to live here, maybe he can still go into an endgame. White honey, black cuts, white captures, and black Atari. White connects, and black also connects, trying to exploit white weaknesses in the center. White plays the empty triangle. Black pushes, and white extends. Here, black plays the squeeze, and white blocks over here to prevent the push and cut. So there's a miai. White can Atari and get home and also connect. So white 4 stones are just fine. Black Atari, white takes, and here black comes back, hoping that, white's gonna have some life and death issues. But at this point, white just Atari and play the tiger's mouth. Black extends, white connects. Here, if black wants to kill, right, definitely black needs to add another move, like either here or bumping to white like this. Well, actually, the bump here is not even a clean. So just take here, right? And then the white cannot make another eye. But obviously, white's going to make another eye over here, right? First of all, there's the push and then extend. So it's very easy for white to actually make an extra eye over here. So yeah, Go Seigen was just fine over here. Black decides to come back and extend in the center instead of trying to kill. White now blocks to prevent the honey. And black now attaches to make sure that white also has some worries. White pushes and black blocks, and here white Atari trying to save the 3 stones. Black Atari, white takes, black Atari again, and white takes again. So black doesn't have the time to cut. There's too many cutting points. So black connects in the center. White Atari, that's a sente. Black Atari from behind, and now white finally comes back and connect. And now black needs to figure out how to live inside. It's not an easy task. So black can actually live, right, with a mover like this. But then when white connect here, this group is gone. So obviously, black doesn't even have the time. Black had to capture over here, right? Black just has too much debt. And at this point, Go Seigen captures the important stone, and black play the Hane. Go Seigen says, "Hey, that's enough. I'm not keep playing here. I'm just gonna live." And here, black comes back to double Atari. White connects, black also connects, and the last move, Go Seigen plays the clamp, and black is just dead. So at this point, Kajiwara decided to resign because this group is just slaughtered. There's no way to live. And here, the dragon is just fine. Right? If black tries to kill, which is the only move, then white can just take. And then you can't break this eye. Therefore, white is just alive. So there's no point in playing anymore because your dragon here got slaughtered. So overall, I really like this game. It shows, in the days when Go Seigen was young, he's a very fierce fighter. He has really good reading ability. And so does Kajiwara. So this game is a very fierce fighting game from the 70s that I discovered, and I really wanted to share with you guys. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new here to make sure you don't miss on a future commentary like this. I hope to see you all in my next video.